Welcome to the devotional series, A Psalm a Day Keeps Satan Away, the podcast edition, episode 74, subtitled The Good New Days. And I'm Pastor D. Walk. Have you ever longed for the good old days? Do you remember the days of old when you were fit and you could eat anything you wanted and never gain an ounce? Do you remember the good old days before Facebook and IG and X? Do you remember the good old days when we only had 3 TV channels and an antenna on the roof? Do you remember, sports fans, the good old days when the ACC was the ACC and didn't have any schools from the Midwest or above the Mason-Dixon line? I would bet even our young scrubs here in our Psalm a Day community can remember a time of their idyllic youth where they didn't have the pressures of school or the pressures of social media. Well, today's psalm is a communal lament or complaint psalm of the nation of Israel, harking back to their good old days, the days prior to the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem in 586 and the subsequent exile of the rich and famous to Babylon. This psalm is almost certainly a product of that Jewish exile community and their yearning after 3 generations to return to the homeland and rebuild the temple. So let's look at Psalm 74. We're going to excerpt it today. It's fairly lengthy. It's a beautiful, beautiful psalm. But for the sake of time, excerpts today. Psalm 74, a maskil of Asaph. Why have you rejected us forever, O God? Why does your anger smolder against the sheep of your pasture? Remember, the Bible is a book of questions just as much as it is a book of answers. Remember, for the first time, remember, God, the people you purchased of old, the tribe of your inheritance, whom you redeemed, Mount Zion, where you dwelt. Turn your steps toward these everlasting ruins. All this destruction the enemy has brought on the sanctuary. Your foes roared in the place where you met with us. They behaved like men wielding axes to cut through a thicket of trees. They smashed all the carved paneling with their axes and hatchets. They burned your sanctuary to the ground. They defiled the dwelling place of your name. Verse 9. We are given no miraculous signs. There are no prophets left, and none of us knows how long this will be. And then 3 more questions, verse 10. How long will the enemy mock you, O God? Will the foe revile your name forever? Why do you hold back your hand, your right hand? Verse 12. But you, O God, are my king, the king from of old. You bring salvation upon the earth. Verse 16. The day is yours, and yours also the night. You established the sun and moon. It was you who set all the boundaries of the earth, you who made both summer and winter. Remember, second time, God, how the enemy has mocked you, O Lord, how foolish people have reviled your name. Have regard for your covenant, because haunts of violence fill the dark places in the land. Do not let the oppressed retreat in disgrace. May the poor and needy praise your name. Rise up, O God, and defend your cause. Remember for the third time, as if God could possibly forget, how fools mock you all day long. Do not ignore the clamor of your adversaries, the uproar of your enemies, which rises continuously. Psalm 74. These are the words of a bold nation and a bold people who have trusted God in the past, in the good old days, and seen him in action, and they acknowledge his power and might. Why won't he return them and restore to them the dwelling place of old, so that things could be the way they were in the good old days? The psalm seemingly ends, by the way, without much clarity as to what's going to happen next. But the scriptures do tell us that after 3 generations, or about 70 years of exile, God's people slowly started to return to Jerusalem and its surroundings and start to rebuild the temple. But it wasn't the same. The temple rebuild project was difficult, as Nehemiah tells us that in the scriptures. And the end result of that temple rebuild was but a shadow of the glory of the first temple. The people once again yearned for the good old days. They had no foresight into how God would once again use his people and his temple in Jerusalem to enact his plan of salvation for all of creation. They couldn't have the foresight to know that the temple would be rebuilt even better than the first. And it was during that time that Jesus the Messiah would come to earth and bring that plan of salvation through his people, through his temple, to the rest of the world. They were focused on their seemingly less than ideal current situation, and they were focused on the glory of their past. However, the cold, hard truth about the good old days, theirs and ours, is that they weren't as good as we remember. I'm betting there were, without knowing any of your situation specifically, that there were instances of struggle and strife in the good old days. But we are obsessed with rewriting our own history based on today's struggles. My granddaddy had this saying, there's a reason rearview mirrors are so small, because if you spend a lot of time looking backwards, you'll crash going forwards. The journey we call faith needs to be present and forward looking. We can't spend a lot of time looking back because we will miss where God is leading us. Our psalm today is a good reminder to limit our good old days mindset. I spent a lot of time this morning looking in the rearview mirror of my life, the good, bad, and ugly. And I don't regret any experiences that I've had, no matter how painful those experiences might have been. I delight in past success. The good, bad, and ugly have shaped me into the person that I want to be today and for the future. So it was a nice morning thinking back about the good old days. Praise God for them. But now is the time to contemplate the good new days that lie ahead. I can't wait to see what God has in store for me and for you in the good new days. Shalom and Godspeed. Pastor D. Walk signing out.